Brian Mazik, a fight guy and a Forbes contributor. I'm here with my fellow fight guy and Forbes contributor, Peter Kahn. What's going on today, Peter?
Brian, everything's good. How are you doing? We have actually a really fun and special live that we're doing today, so I'm excited about this.
Absolutely. We are here, and it's our pleasure to get an opportunity to speak to the founder and president of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. It is David Feldman. I'm going to bring David in right now. How you doing today, David? We got an opportunity to introduce you. It's great to finally get a chance to talk.
I'm great, man. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me, man. We're super excited about what we're doing here at Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, and especially about tomorrow night.
Sure. So let's talk about tomorrow night. It's BKFC 7. It's taking place in Biloxi, Mississippi. It's headlined by Jim Alers against Leonard Garcia. So talk a little bit about that card and what led up to it and so on and so forth.
Both guys that actually fought really, truly all around the world, both former UFC vets, and ironically, both coming off of first-round knockouts in BKFC. So both 1-0 with one knockout in bare knuckle, and both in devastating fashion. So I think it's a very intriguing matchup for us. We did initially have Jason Knight scheduled against Leonard Garcia. He was out with an injury to his rib. So we were looking for an opponent, and Jim Alers stepped right up, and I think he's a very, very formidable, very tough opponent, and we're looking forward to that match. I think really, truly, but every match on the card is fight of the night candidate, but this one really could really go down as a really, really great fight for bare knuckle.
Now, David, we've been following you. We've been following what you've been doing. We've been following Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, the most recent show on June 22nd in Tampa. I was present. I was there. I turned to the people that I were with at one point, and I said, "I really like this." My, although it was Artem Lobov and Paulie Malignaggi in the main event, my favorite fight of the night was Reggie Barnett Jr. and Johnny Bedford. It was exciting. And then was it Tom? Am I saying this? Tom? Is it Shoaf?
Shoaf.
Yeah, Tom Shoaf.
I mean, that was another great fight. I mean, every fight was just exciting. They're easy to consume. Look, I'm a boxing guy. Okay, I'm a boxing guy. I make no bones about it. Brian's a boxing guy. He's an MMA guy. What I love about bare knuckle, number one, you hear the fist on bone, on face, on when you name it, on teeth. It's just, you can't help it. I watched men, women, children, everyone was excited and captivated because no fight exceeded 10 minutes. There's it's 5 2-minute rounds.
It's 5 2-minute rounds.
I mean,
you really took the words out of my mouth. In every interview that I do, they say, "What's different?" And the first thing I said is that sound when the knuckles hit the face, the sound, you're just like, wow. I mean, I don't care how many times you hear it over and over. You're like, if you're a fight fan, that's a really sweet sound.
The way that I describe it to people when they ask me what was that experience like, I said it's like being at a street fight, but with a referee.
I mean, yes, it's being at a very professionally organized street fight with great fighters, with really, truly great fighters. And these guys are warriors. Look, I talk to some of the best boxers, the world champions, some of the best UFC fighters, and I say, what do you think about bare knuckle? It's not for me. It's a little tough for me. So, I mean, these are tough dudes, really, really tough dudes. You have to be, because these dudes are getting hit with bare knuckles, and they're risking leaving a scar for the rest of their life with every fight that they go in here with. That being said, it's super fun and super exciting. It's fast paced. And that's what I say when people say, how do you describe it? And I say fast paced excitement all night long.
It's interesting because what you were talking about and leading back into what you mentioned originally with Jim Alers stepping in for injured Jason Knight. Jim Alers just knocked out Elvin Leon Brito in 45 seconds in the last card at BKFC 6. So he's really stepping in. Clearly, he didn't get that much work with the 45-second knockout. But talk a little bit about Jim Alers. What made him your choice to step in for Jason Knight?
Well, he's been in there with everybody. First of all, he came off a very nice first-round knockout on the last show. But I really liked, I talked to him and I said, what do you think about this fight? And I talked to him even prior to that, and he got a very good explanation. He's actually a really, really high-level grappler.
Yes, he is.
with that being said, I said, you sure this sport's for you? And he goes, but here's the deal. Here's why I'm a high level grappler, because I always drop my guys and then I jump on them after I drop them. So, he has definite punching power. And what he did to Elvin Brito, Elvin Brito was coming off of a devastating third or fourth round knockout here in Biloxi and went into that fight and he got knocked out himself. So I thought that the guy had exactly what it took to step in on the main event here. And, he's got punching power. Leonard Garcia has punching power. They both don't take a backward step. So I think fireworks.
It's interesting. I'm sorry, Peter, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think one of the things that people may end up saying about some of the bare knuckle fighters without actually knowing is assuming that these guys are just like guys from a tough man contest. But one of the things I know about Jim Alers is Jim Alers actually has 10 victories by submission in his MMA career and only 2 by knockout. So it kind of leads into what you were saying. He was saying, I drop guys and then that's how my submissions go. But if somebody just needs to know like a little bit about, Jim Alers has been in there with a lot of guys. He's actually fought Jason Knight in the UFC. It was a split decision loss. So he has been in there with a lot of guys. He had a 4-fight run with the UFC and he's fought all over the world. And Leonard Garcia has actually been he's beaten Jens Pulver. He beat the Korean Zombie Chan Sung Jung and Nam Fan. And he went to a split decision with Max Holloway, the UFC featherweight champion. So these are high level fighters who are now fighting in bare knuckle championship. So I think that's pretty interesting.
And to that point, Brian, what you're saying and what makes it exciting is that the last show you had this sensationalism with Artem Lobov and Paulie Malignaggi, right? And it did an unbelievable pay-per-view. Now we actually have maybe even a better main event with Alers and Garcia, and it's free. So, David, what's the thought process? You're coming off of such a big pay-per-view. Most people build to get this pay-per-view. You're doing it in your 7th fight or your 6th fight. You have this big pay-per-view, and now you're saying, you know what? We got so much positive response to that all of a sudden now what we're doing is we're giving away for free.
Yeah, I think what separates us from a lot of other companies, a lot of other combat sporting companies out there is that coming off of that great pay-per-view event, you would think, look, we just did so great on pay-per-view. Let's come right back on pay-per-view and let's grab all this money. But instead, we said we did so good on pay-per-view. Let's do it for free and expand the fan base. So that's what we're doing here. We're giving back to the fans. We want them to watch us. We want to gain new fans on this. And I think with the card that we had with 9 really wars matched, 9 fight of the night candidates, I think the fans are going to be in for something really, really special there. And I think anyone that watches this for the first time tomorrow night is definitely hooked for life.
So talk a little bit about that co-main event. It's the bare knuckle fighting championship heavyweight title. Arnold Allen is going to be defending his title against Chase Sherman. And if anybody's followed Chase Sherman's career, they know it's kill or be killed when he gets in the ring. He's coming and he's not afraid to take a shot, but he's going to bring a big one if he gets an opportunity to land it. If you had to give a gauge of how long you think that one's going to last, because I'm thinking 90 seconds. Somebody's getting knocked out and it's going to happen within 90 seconds. So talk a little bit about that co-main event.
I think it's a tremendous matchup. You have Arnold AJ Adams who can punch but is actually real slick for a heavyweight, and you have Chase Adams who doesn't know how to take a backward step, and he'll, like you said, it's kill or be killed. He'll eat the punches and walk forward and hoping he can land a punch. So I think it's a very intriguing matchup, and it's a fan stylistic fight that I think is gonna pan out very, very well. I don't think it's going to be a quick knockout, as you just mentioned. I think it's going to go a little longer. I think they're going to have a good feeling out process for the first round. I think in the 3rd or 4th round, there's definitely going to be a knockout there. And I think the fans are really going to love this because Chase Sherman doesn't know how to step backward. He did come off a draw in his last fight, but a lot of people don't know that he was actually in the ICU 3 weeks prior to that. He had a very bad infection in his body, and he was in the ICU, so he didn't get a really good chance to really come in top shape. And this one, he said today that he's in the best shape of his life. So I think the fans are for a real treat for the bare knuckle fighting championship heavyweight champion.
So they can get it Saturday. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Fight TV, right?
Live, free. So Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 7, live and free on Fight TV and the
Right.
Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship YouTube page. I mean, just click that subscribe button on Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship YouTube page. Watch this event free. See a lot of other stuff, a lot of other highlights that we have on our page. Or if you don't want to go on there, go on Fight TV and watch it on Fight TV. Always a great platform to watch fights, and they've been a really good partner to us in the past. So, like I said, we want to get back to the fans and we want to gain a new fan base. But one more fight I just want to talk about is Christine Faria versus Helen Peralta. This is Women's Fight of the Year candidate, guaranteed explosion, fireworks. This one, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching this fight more than anything else. You don't have girls that fight like this. You have a lot of girls that box. These two girls are going to be in each other's face all night, right from the beginning into the end of that fight. And I'm really super looking forward to that fight.
So, David, let's talk about you for a second. I've had an opportunity to meet you. I know you a little bit. Anyone that's asked me, I told them you're not like other promoters. You know, it's really not about you. People may see you all over the place, but you know, you're really a lean, mean promotional entity. And so, you know, you wear many hats, and I've witnessed that in person. Now, you know, you've really been there. You see, look, this week we heard news of competitive companies launching, announcements of other companies launching, former boxers getting in the mix. But, you know, you've been very much a pioneer in this bare knuckle movement. You just received an award. You were inducted into the Bare Knuckle Hall of Fame. And at the same time, you've been lobbying for all these other states outside of, what is it, Florida, Wyoming, Mississippi, is it Maine or Vermont? I mean, you know, what are you doing? Like, what's the overall long-term plan on this? Because, you know, not only are you promoting, but you're sitting here trying to get the sport approved in all these other states.
You know, I mean, it's a tough job. It really, truly is. It's been 10 years in the making. And I think actually I'm going to steal your quote, an overnight success that was 10 years in the making. So
Right.
with these other competitors coming out, I actually love it. As long as they do a good show, as long as they do a quality show, quality fighters, pay the fighters, and do the right thing, it's only going to help the sport. It's going to help my company because more people are going to know about bare knuckle, and we're going to gain more fans. So I think it's great as long as they do the right thing. I welcome competition because competition makes you try harder. Look, when my back's against the wall, that's when I'm the fiercest. That's when I really come out punching, and I love when my back's against the wall.
Yeah, I think
With
it
that
also
being
shows.
said, we are lobbying a lot of different states. We're not doing too many right now. We were at the beginning, but now the way I want to do it, and the goal of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship is to lobby a state, get approved there, do a show in that state, and then go to another state. We always want to be the first because we want to set the standard and set the parameters for what other bare knuckle companies out there, you know, should be held to.
You know, David, we actually have some live viewers right now, and one asked a question of you. They wanted to know, are there any plans to bring bare knuckle to Texas?
Big plans to bring bare knuckle to Texas. We're actually talking to the commission now. He called me and he said to me, he said, Dave, a lot of people are talking to me about bare knuckle, and they said I have to look at this now before I'm just in another state that accepts it. And I said then the same thing. I said, look, it's a great time to get involved right now because you'll be, you know, people will talk about bare knuckle in Texas rather than being the 35th or 40th or 45th state to approve this. And I think we're going to go in front of them really, really soon. We went in front of them a couple of years ago. They were one of the states that turned us down for now, but now they're very interested in it. And I think Texas, you know, if I had to target, I would probably say mid 2020 for Texas.
That sounds great.
So, you know, one of the things I think, and one of the criteria that a lot of people probably think that would be a reason why, you know, there would be a delay in getting it approved would be safety. But I saw the reports, and I saw the published reports that actually show that bare knuckle is safer than boxing and MMA. So if you want to talk about that for a second, because I think there's a misconception that just because you're with the bare knuckle, that somehow it's more dangerous.
You know, a lot of people use this quote and they say perception is reality, but perception is not reality in this case because the perception is it's a backyard street fight and it's very dangerous. But the reality is that we have less injuries in bare knuckle than we do in boxing or MMA. We have a total of 5 broken hands and 142 fighters that fought. 5 broken hands. Now, if you go in boxing or MMA and 142 fighters, you're going to have more than 5 broken hands. So right there, that's a misconception. We do have a lot of cuts, but we have smaller cuts, and what we call them knuckle cuts. They're about a 1 or 2 inch cut, and they get stitched up at the end of the show. They're not the big, long, wide, and deep cuts that you get with boxing or MMA, because you get hit. And when the knuckle turns a little bit, when the fist turns, first of all, you have a wider surface. Then you have the leather that actually opens up the cut. So that makes it more dangerous. But really, most importantly, is you're not getting the continual head trauma. So in a bare knuckle, like if I was to tell you, come over to this brick wall or come over to this wood wall or whatever it is and hit this wall with your bare knuckle, you're going to hit it at, I don't know, 20, 30, 40%. Now I say, here, put this glove on and hit that wall. You're going to hit it at 80, 90, 100%. So just right there says that these fighters don't throw as hard in bare knuckle. So you're not going to get the kind of pounding that you're going to get with boxing or MMA. And because it is bare knuckle and they are getting cut and they're in fear of breaking their hands, they're not going to get hit as many times in bare knuckle as they are in boxing or MMA. But it's so exciting because you do hear that sound, you do see blood, and you do see a lot of action. So I think we give them, the best of all the worlds that we can possibly give them. And at the same time, it looks like it's a lot more brutal, but it's actually a lot safer.
Can you,
I'll
David?
say this, I'll go on record by saying this. Instead of just saying it's a lot safer, I will say it's absolutely 100% no more dangerous than boxing or MMA.
Gotcha. So, David, obviously, like any promotion, you're looking to add to your roster whenever there's talent available, I'm assuming. Can you give us a little bit of a scoop, or maybe someone else that may be on your radar, somebody else you're looking to potentially add into the family of bare knuckle, or who's like the next name that may resonate with combat sports fans?
So Brian, before you say anything, I saw David posted on social media the same day that UFC dropped Chris Cyborg. He's like, Chris Cyborg and bare knuckle?
Let's come bang, right?
Yeah, we made an official offer to her, and she definitely entertained it. It's just she's not looking to get into bare knuckle at this time. But then the next morning, I got an email from her team and said she wants to come to a live event first. So, I think we definitely piqued her interest and let her know that we are a real player and we're not just some small or regional company that just wants to throw a couple of dollars at her. We really truly mean business. But Brian, right now, because there's some competitors out there and they're just starting up, I can't really throw any hints of the names out there right now. But I will tell you that within the next 2 weeks, we'll announce 5 really, really marquee signings. 5 marquee signings. And
That's huge.
we signed 22 fighters this week, so we're going to announce those as well. So within the next 2 weeks, I think people are going to go, I know they're going to go, wow, they got him. Wow, they got him. Wow, they got her. And the answer is going to be yes. Yes, we got them.
So, David, I just want to throw this out there now. My name's Brian Mazik. I write for Forbes. So when you have that list that's going to make people go, they got him, just make sure that your boy gets it so that I can make sure I can put it out and be a part of the funnel.
I promise the first one that I'll announce, I'm going to send it to you guys. You guys break that story. I promise. You guys have been great supporters, man. I mean, very humbling for the kind of article that Peter was able to write on the future of bare knuckle. And, it's something that a year into this, I was like, wow, this kind of article, and the word he used, $1 billion combat sport, not million. I go, is that a B or is that an M? And
listen, let me tell you, David, it's not inconceivable. All you have to do is just look at where things are trending. The UFC, listen, just over a decade ago, 15 years ago, the UFC had its rebrand, its relaunch, and was sold for $4.4 billion in that neighborhood. Okay, so you never know after that one season of The Ultimate Fighter, and then where it went to and what it was sold for. There's an audience for this. I saw it myself. I mean, I saw a packed, sold out, not an open seat, standing room only venue in Tampa that was going crazy. And like I said, my favorite fight was the Reggie Barnett Jr. Johnny Bedford fight, and then of course the electricity in the main event with Lobov and Malignaggi. You just felt like you were this voyeur, this spectator of something violent, but yet there's this skill, and it was something very primal about it too. And I think it just gets everyone's heart pumping. and just, very exciting. And so I can see this becoming very popular. So, look, the industry in itself, the sport in itself, I feel is going to grow. And I think that because you've been this pioneer, because you were the first one, I think people don't realize that it was Wyoming, right? You were the first person to get it approved in the United States.
So the first person in the history. So people do say that it was legal and sanctioned and regulated in 1889, and in the 1800s when they did these big bare knuckle fights, these very marquee bare knuckle fights back in the day. But the truth of the matter is, we are the first legal, sanctioned, and regulated bare knuckle fighting company in the history of the world. Anywhere in the world, we're the first. And I really take my hat off to my team and everybody that believed in us. But here's one thing I want to mention. We're putting this tremendous deck together because we're pitching some big investment companies that really want to get involved, some hedge funds and stuff like that are very interested in what we're doing. And in that, what we did notice is one thing, that in our first year in business, we did more pay-per-view buys in our first 12 months than the UFC did in their 8th year in business. So we did more pay-per-view buys in our first year than they did in their 8th year. And why I think this is remarkable is because there's so many different platforms now to watch different kinds of combat sports and all different kinds of content on. So pay-per-view is not the marquee place to watch fights right now, and we were still able to pull in those kind of numbers. So not that we're in competition with the UFC, we're not, but they're the only real measuring stick we can do, because they developed a new sport and now we're developing a new sport. So with that being said, we couldn't be happier at the place we are right now. And I do agree with you. I think that this is something that the fans really like. And I think this year, 2020, is really poised for a big time bare knuckle explosion.
Yeah, I can tell you for a fact that the people that are in our chat right now for this live interview are definitely chiming in with positive remarks. A lot of people are saying they definitely love the sport. It's a real sport. I have a gentleman who's a hardcore follower of the show, World Breaker Fighting. He's asking, is DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley going to be one of those new guys added? Because we know that there's some talk along those lines. So we got some very astute people who follow this show. So I think there's a lot of people that, like you said, that are very much excited about the product and where it can go. Do you have, like, so when you come to someone like Cyborg, right, and you say, hey, we want to make you an offer. One of the biggest issues with Cyborg was finding an opponent in her weight region. Did you kind of already have that lined up? Did you have that in mind when you made that offer, or is it kind of like, we'll get Cyborg and then we'll make it work?
It was a little bit of both. I had some good possibilities in my head, but it was more like, we'll get her and then we'll make it work. But, at this time, in all honesty, it doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. But I think it's something down the road, and not too far down the road, that could possibly happen. But the thing that I think is so interesting is that I truly never thought we would be talking with the likes of a Cyborg or anyone on that level a year into this business. And we are. And we're talking to them, and they're talking back to us in their interest. So to even be on that level where people are seeing us as an equal player to these other major combat sports companies is it's humbling for us. And I think where we're going in 2020 is just the plans we have in 2020 are really tremendous. And like I said, some of these names, and you did mention one of them, he'll be on our roster very soon. But a lot of these other names that are going to be signing, people are definitely going to go, wow, he went to bare knuckle, and he's going to fight for us, and she's going to fight for us, and we just can't really wait for 2020 and really for the end of 2019, because we have some good stuff playing there as well.
World Breaker breaking news on our show.
On our show, look at him. What is up with that? So, but it's really cool because a lot of people don't know. I think DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley was the first guy I ever saw hurt Floyd Mayweather. So Floyd Mayweather's only been hurt like 4 times in his career.
Actually, he hurt Miguel Cotto too.
Yeah. So I mean, Chop Chop for a reason. So, but I got another question for you, and I don't know, this is actually my last question. Peter may have some more for you as well, and something may pop up based off of something Peter says. But if you look at Bellator, right, and you even look at a promotion like Ryzen, now obviously they're different sport, but they do some. They kind of embrace the novelty fight. You know, you'll see, Dada 5000 fighting, or they bring in Kimbo Slice to fight Ken Shamrock. Is that a concept that you would consider if the opportunity presented itself? So if someone from some other walk of life, from other sport, or maybe even another branch of entertainment wanted to say, hey, we're interested in a big budget, fight in bare knuckle, is that something you would offer to someone like that, or would you entertain that at all?
We'll definitely entertain it. We'll listen to anything. I mean, anything that makes sense for the business and helps the business grow, we're definitely going to be all ears for that. But at the same time, we're so new that we don't want people thinking that bare knuckle is just a novelty.
Gotcha.
And we're doing gimmicks for the only way to survive. So I think right now we're a little too young to do gimmicks, but the gimmicks are going to come. They come in every sport. In every sport at some time, the gimmicks will come, and they're going to come for us. But I think right now we're going to stick to what we're giving the fans right now, and that's great fights, action-packed fights, real true fights, all evenly matched. We never give someone a duck here. It's all really, truly evenly matched fights, and I think the fans love it. So just to get back to what you said, yeah, look, whatever's going to help the business. But right now, I think what's going to help the business is putting on real great fights.
Yes.
So, in closing here, David, first of all, listen, I know you don't sleep. I know you just had the weigh-in a few hours ago. You have the fight tomorrow, and I'm sure you got a lot going on this evening in Biloxi. I want everyone that's watching, that's listening, go to either their YouTube channel or go to Fight TV, download the app, get it on your smart TV. You could use it through Fire Stick or any of the ways that you could stream. And it's FITE TV. And then David, they can also go to the YouTube. So tell them the YouTube channel as well and the website.
Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship YouTube page. It's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. You can not only watch this event live tomorrow night, but you can also see some of the really good fights that we had in the past. For the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship YouTube page tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or fight.tv. You can also visit our website if you're local to the area and you want to get tickets. That's bare-knuckle.tv, bare-knuckle.tv, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship YouTube page, or Fight TV. Watch this event tomorrow night. I guarantee you're hooked.
Yeah, I'm going to be live blogging it for Forbes. But one of the things I love about Fight TV is that, and I think they probably will have this feature available for your show, is the interactive aspect of it, where the community that's watching can actually interact and chat while the event's going on. So that's always been a unique feature that they have. But listen, once again, if there's anything else you want to say in parting, thank you. I'm just going to say thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure. I know you got a big day tomorrow. One more question. Just looking forward, what's next after Biloxi?
We're going to do September 20th in Fort Lauderdale, and then we're going to come back October 19th in Tampa, and then November 23rd. I think it's going to be in a new state. It could be back here in Biloxi. We're working on a couple things, and then next year, we actually just got a proposal to do an event in Saudi Arabia and an event in India. So I think international again next year is definitely going to be something that we're looking at. But right now, we're just super focused on what we're doing here tomorrow night, giving the fans back free bare knuckle fighting action live on Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship YouTube page or on Fight TV.
Right. Appreciate your time today, David. Peter, obviously, it's always a great time getting the opportunity to speak to someone like Mr. Feldman. So you guys make sure that you check it out. BKFC tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Fight TV, or on BKFC's YouTube channel. Again, thanks so much for your time, David. And we appreciate everybody watching.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Hey, and don't forget, subscribe to the Fight Guys YouTube channel. And you know what? Leave some comments. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you think about bare knuckle, and we want to know what you think about David's interview.
Absolutely.
See you guys. Thanks.